Welcome to Savvy Business, Life Unscripted, with your host, Christina Rivera, where our guests share their wisdom and valuable business tips, empowering our audience to expand their personal potential.
Hi, Nikki Brown. Welcome to Savvy Broadcasting, Life Unscripted. I'm so grateful to have you here today. How are you?
Great. Thank you. It's really nice to be with you this afternoon. Thanks for including me today.
You betcha. I mean, this particular series got started when a lot of people were struggling as business owners and saying, what's next post-COVID? Let's hope it's post-COVID really, really soon. But we want to get back on track, get growing our businesses. And you have a inspirational story. We're going to be talking about reset, reevaluate your personal life and your business. And you've done tremendous work at Altwell. But you have a long history in nutrition and fitness and all of that. Share a little bit about your background, what brought you to where you are today.
Sure. My family has been in the health and wellness space for 4 generations. So my father's father worked in the protein and wellness space. My father got a start in sport nutrition in the mid or late 80s, early 90s, working alongside my brother in a competitive company to a company that we then launched in the 90s, which is really what I believe our family became most known for, which was the Muscle Milk line of protein products. We created, launched, built, and then sold that line of products. And so in that space, really known for making protein products taste great and bringing protein as a lifestyle brand to weekend warriors and active lifestyle people. And so as we sold that business in 2014, as a family, we were trying to determine sort of what next, and launched a different business, a business that we're in today, where we help other food and beverage companies, create products, and we help flavor their products. And then as sort of a side to that, recently launched a business, Altwell, which is what we're talking about today. And it's a CBD company. It's a line of CBD enhanced products, a full line that range from topicals to protein products, gummies, tinctures, you name it. But really that was born from, my mother has forever been a non-sleeper. She, in her 40s, she's a grandmother to 12, a mother to 4 of us.
Wow. And
she struggled with sleep. I find myself actually kind of going in that same path. And so this has been an interesting window of time, and Altwell has certainly been helpful. But we got into the space because she struggled with sleep, and we were looking at more natural sleep alternatives and came into CBD. And as consumers in about 2018, it's a confusing space. And so as we, coming from food and beverage, as we looked at what's happening in the space, what brands can we trust, what's the right amount, as we started exploring all of those things and having varying results from taking products, we spent a ton of time diligencing the space on our own, and ultimately launched the Altwell brand as a result of kind of that journey that we were on. And it's been an interesting time to launch a business. We launched officially back in March, earlier this year, March of 2020. And it's been something of a wild ride. And certainly the products, prior to this pandemic were relevant. Who doesn't need more comfort and calm and balance? And now more than ever, I feel like the relevance is underlined, and you really just kind of can't find somebody that doesn't perk up when you have the conversation about CBD and what the benefits can be like.
Well, let's go into that, because not everyone might be aware of what is CBD products and how do they work and how can they help you?
Right. I mean, I think the simplest way, it's comes from the cannabis plant, the THC, so the psychoactive component that we all know when we think of cannabis is removed, and you're left with CBD. And CBD can be utilized for comfort, calm, balance, recovery, topicals, from a healing perspective. And I think it's for the customer. Many come in somewhat cautious, but open-minded. And I think if you're expecting your world to change overnight, I would say it's not the product category for you. But if you're interested in a health and wellness journey and looking for more natural solutions to common things that you may take, I think CBD is a very appropriate space to explore, and one that I have found day to day to be super beneficial just in my overall. I take a capsule every evening about 30 minutes before bed, and a friend put it to me great. It's not a lights out, it's sort of a dimmer. And I think the dimmer is what I need to sort of just begin to slow down and shut it off and not think about all the different things that are on our minds these days.
Yeah.
In addition to just day to day.
Yeah. My friend has a severe arthritis in parts of his body, and he uses a CBD product topical, and he just swears that it helps his shoulder so much. And I was like, really? Just a topical? Yeah. And
right.
See, I don't need it for that purposes, but the idea of all the stress going on, let's go there, because now that people have been dealing with the stress over the past several months, they might have lost a job, just the ordinary stresses that have come along from this COVID situation. People might be feeling, okay, I'm super stressed. How does this particular product help you get unstressed? How does it work? And do they do it just at the night? Because you said it dimmed you out a bit. What can it do for people to help?
Yeah, I think, time of day is really at your own. Our motto is start low with your dosage and go slow. You mentioned your friend prefers a topical, and we've seen that be effective for people. In my previous life, prior to kids, I ran a couple marathons. And so I've got the common overused, the temperamental knee or the temperamental hip. And I just find I'm kind of lathering up consistently and truly popping out of bed a little bit easier. I'm not feeling that tightness and that kind of joint pain that I've experienced in the past. And you sort of learn to live with that. And then when you start using something and all of a sudden you notice I feel better, you're almost sort of like, what's going on? In terms of time of day, and if you're thinking about an ingestible, we have gummies and we have tinctures, protein products, and I mentioned capsules. I mean, those can be utilized in your tincture added to your coffee. And that's just for that sort of overall balance and calm. And we have, products that are used all throughout different day parts. So it's whether you're have a gummy midday, or you're using tincture in the morning, or you're using a capsule to sleep in the evening. I make smoothies every day for my family, and I pop our protein powder in the smoothie. And I just think it's one more piece. For me, it's important to exercise daily, to do something daily, especially now. I mean, it's a good practice anyway, but I feel like now more than ever. And so this is, along with exercise, CBD is something that I've brought into my routine to help with my day-to-day regimen. And I think that most consumers and people using our products are using it in that way.
It's interesting you said that, Nikki, because I remember speaking to a friend of mine probably 10 or more years ago, and we were hitting our early 30s. And she said, you know what? I said, I feel just fine. She's like, yeah, but we don't feel 20 anymore. Because what it is, you begin to get comfortable as you get older, and maybe you get off of maybe not so healthy lifestyle. You don't realize what feeling good even is anymore, because you've gotten used to not feeling optimal.
Right.
Until, like you said, you take this, proteins or a gummy bear, and you begin to pop out of bed a little quicker. You're like, whoa, I didn't know I could feel even better.
Right. And I think, for many of us, most households, you've got dual working families, you've got, kids, whether they're homeschool now or they're in school. That's an added layer that we haven't had in the past. And oh, by the way, the job as a parent doesn't change when you're, whether you're professional or you're dedicated at home, you've just added to your day. And I just think all of those things, we're going through a lot. And so I think, again, coupled with exercise, and it's hard to do all those things really well. I mean, I have a hard time. I cannot exercise every single day. I would love to. I can't eat well every single day. I'd love to do that as well. This one's pretty easy for me to add every day because a capsule a day or a tincture a day, etc. Those I can add in to my regimen. And I just find, and my experience in talking with people is they feel the same, that it just is helpful.
Yeah.
And it's a great natural way to help manage through what we've all got going on.
Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah. It's great you say that because actually you don't have to do everything at once. Even when I found several years back, I'd gotten off the exercise wagon and getting back on was just not possible. I was so super fatigued and drained. What I had to start with was just to add one thing. Let's just add some salads here, And in your case, let's add a gummy bear and maybe a salad too, until I can get my energy back up and then move a bit. So it's a process. It's not an all at once. Now, what's interesting? Share with me some of the blessings you might have noticed, because even though, the kids at home and dealing with the business and the kids and family and a whole bunch of other stuff, it also means less travel. Has that helped at all? And has there been some blessings you found through even this difficult time?
Absolutely. I think there are silver linings in this. I mean, one, quality time at home. I have 4 children. And so having dinner routinely is challenging. We've got 4 sets of activities. They range from age 14 down to age 7. So, we're zigzagging around, and that has slowed down, which is nice. I mean, I don't mind our slower pace. So there's something to be said for that. I think, the fact that I know I'm not alone in this, but we slowed down enough and got a puppy. There was joy in that for sure. I mean, it's not like I needed one more thing to take care of, but I am loving having that. And I think for many of us, we live in a neighborhood in California, and, you would think you'd get to know your neighbors really well, but day to day when you're pretty busy, and my husband and I both work and we've got kids that have activities, I'm waving consistently, but I think we've spent a good amount of time getting to know our neighbors. Yeah. And then just an appreciation overall. You love your teachers. And when you are sitting there listening to your teachers, adapting to the homeschool scenario and doing it with passion, I think you slow down and there's a reset and a second layer of appreciation for the fact that we're in this one together. Everybody has had to shift and pivot and adapt and deal. And so I think that there's some sense of community in that, that has come from what has been a really difficult situation, whether it's personally for people or in business. Either way, this has affected everybody.
Yeah. And you're right about that. Things we've taken for granted, like you just said, the teachers in your life, you don't realize what they go through to take care of our children, to educate our children. And now you get to witness it firsthand and them in action, just your neighbors who you're hustling and bustling, going to a soccer tournament or whatever it is that you don't even get to see your neighbors. So it actually has been a great reset for that. How has it reset the business life? Like now at Altwa, how has it reset being with your employees? And because it must have been hard, I'm sure in the beginning you were at home. How did that work connecting with your employees?
Sure. I think that we've all gotten better. We're not in a tech space. And so I think we've all got better using the tools. Zoom is not a platform I used a ton before, and our business didn't rely on it, or Teams, Microsoft Teams. We weren't relying upon it quite the way we do today. And I think, meeting with customers and not realizing that you can take the layer of travel out and have meaningful conversation. I mean, we're all anxious to get back to whatever our new normal is going to be, and having the ability to, get in front of customers and have, face-to-face conversations and connections. But I think using technology to help us bridge this and supplement in the future, and even trade shows. I mean, it's interesting, as a new product, there's a handful of places that you'd like to be, and those have gone virtual. And that's pretty fascinating. I mean, from my previous life in a branded space, that was a significant area of investment for businesses in the branded space is trade show spending and how you look and feel and how consumers receive your brand. And in this environment, it's a little bit different. And the fact that everyone was able to pivot and go to the virtual platform, even for those, I think is pretty interesting. And just, we're resilient. People are figuring it out, right? And again, we're in it together. So it's refreshing, I guess.
Yeah, it is. And you mentioned something interesting about an actual product, because we'd have, well, I don't have trade shows, but I've been to them, and there's a number of products I would go physically to go get. And now, since the past 7 to 8 months, there's a lot of new products that have come into my life that I found online through friends or, hearsay, that I've now become number one in my life. But I can get them online. So you forget that now, just because you're a product doesn't mean you can not connect with your customers and maybe do those trade shows in a different way. So it's definitely a learning experience.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Sorry. Someone was peeking out from my office.
No, but this has been a fabulous conversation, but I don't want us to leave without everyone finding out how they can get their very own products at altwell.com. How can they do that? And is there anything you want to leave us with, anything you're working on that you want to share with the audience coming up?
I think I'd love everyone to jump on and check out our products, altwell.com. Follow us on Instagram at altwellcbd. And we've got lots of great products that we've launched and many things coming. I think 2021 will be a great year for innovation. So, and for those who are just, curious and yet cautious about the category, CBD is new for many. We encourage you to, check out our blogs. We like to educate and send out a ton of information, everything that we can share to help enhance the community experience. And so we look forward to it.
Yeah. And I was just about to ask you that for anyone, a newbie who might be scared, but curious, that's perfect. Go on to altwell.com and start looking at your newsletter, get familiar and comfortable with it.
We have a blog, subscribe to the blog, and those are, super helpful. And a lot of the information that we share comes from a conversation that we've had with a customer, comes from, our goal to be leaders in the space and leaders in the category in terms of driving education and, transparency and education. And when you're looking in the space, really look for products that have been tested and tested again. We have a triple testing model that I think is really important. So because it's new and because it's slightly different, really knowing what you're purchasing and who you're purchasing from is really important. So build that trust and look for brands with transparency in the space for sure.
That's a great point. I just want to end it before we end, because we interviewed a couple of years ago a vitamin company, and they were like, there's a lot of vitamin companies that are not all that reputable, and maybe the product isn't that well made. They have their own laboratories. But yeah, if you're worried about that, go to altwell.com and really discover what they have to offer. And I just have to thank you again, Nikki Brown, for coming to share your great gifts today and your wisdom on Savvy Broadcasting.
Oh, thank you. Have a great evening.
You too. Take care.
Like, subscribe, and share this episode. To listen to more savvy episodes and savvy biz tips, go to www.lifeunscriptedradio.com. To find out about our paid sponsorship opportunities or how to become a guest, email Christina at lifeunscriptedradio.com.